Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Theory of Anything, episode 27.
It's not morning.
What do you mean?
And you're presuming that all our listeners are listening in the morning.
Yeah, of course. They'll be
But we're
waking up, putting it on, having their breakfast, listening to our podcast.
Do
cup of
they?
tea.
Yeah.
That's nice.
What if this goes out in the middle of the afternoon, and then you're saying good morning?
Okay, everybody, if you're listening to it now, stop listening to it and wait until tomorrow morning.
But they might forget.
Don't forget putting an alarm.
That's why.
Set an alarm.
Not that it's my place to pick you up, Devon. That's why, with my kind of settled routine, my settled intro when I'm
Boring.
with people.
Yes.
I know. Well, okay. People like to know where they're at. People like familiarity. But I cover all the bases, you see. But anyway,
Yeah.
You do.
it's okay, Devon.
But there's
You
no
go with
risk. There's no risk reward.
no risk.
If you're covering all the bases, then there's no risk
You
reward.
you like risk, don't you?
Exactly. So it
I
might
was
be
having
game
a
morning, but it might be morning.
I was having a conversation with some my colleagues at work, and we were talking about you're either a cavalier or a roundhead, and I think you're very definitely a cavalier. Yeah. Anyway, cavalier is a risk taker. Yeah. A roundhead obeys all the rules, follows the arrows round the supermarket.
Oh no.
Cavaliers go up the down arrows and down the up arrows and things like that.
I do try and stick to the arrows, but if there's something that's just within reach,
Oh.
Yeah.
I do kind of just go a little bit.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I've walked backwards up an aisle once. Because what I wanted was nearer to the end where I was, but the arrow was pointing the wrong way. So I thought,
Wow.
if I walk backwards, and then if somebody comes round the corner, they'll see me. I could just walk forward again and pretend I was always walking that way. That's okay, isn't it?
That's somewhat insane.
Just a little bit.
Well, like you say, when what you want is only 3 yards from the end of the aisle,
Yeah.
it seems silly to go all the way up one aisle, all the way back down the other, and then
Especially if no one's on that aisle. It's like,
exactly.
not doing any issue.
Anyway,
well,
I digress.
I am Devon. I am your host for this evening, or morning, whenever you're listening to it. Here I have with me Dad, otherwise known as Andy, otherwise known as Paps.
Hi,
How are you?
that's me. I'm fine, thank you. Yeah.
That's lovely. And I also have Ford.
Hello.
How are you, Ford?
I'm doing really well. I had to sort of break into my house today, kind of, because I came home from work. We're recording after my work, you see, and there was a police car outside of the front of my house.
What?
So I've snuck around the back just in case you don't too careful.
Oh.
Yeah.
You think they're after you?
Well, if I get dragged away in the middle of this recording, you know why.
What have you done? Such a guilty conscience.
Well, you just can't be too careful. That's what I say.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's very very bizarre.
That is
It's
bizarre.
like your reaction to it's bizarre. Perhaps he was just knocking on your door to say, I don't know what he might be saying, but
Exactly.
It might not.
Was he actually meant to be
Parked outside.
seen, or was he just parked outside your house?
It just parked outside my house. It's very shifty, I say. So
Yeah.
A shifty
The police can
policeman.
be very shifty.
yeah, I don't trust them. That's for sure.
Oh dear. Now steady on at these times when the police are getting a hard time already. Yeah.
No,
They
that's
don't
true.
need you two adding grief to them. Come on, guys. We're going to overrun if we're already starting.
Yes.
And yeah, focus, Trinity. I mean,
Excellent.
Ford and Devon.
Okay. Last episode we talked about a lot of things in episode 26. Do we have any pickups from that episode? Anybody?
I have two actually. Well, one
Oh.
not so much from last episode. I'm going to start with that one. Did you see either of you the Batman trailer just dropped this week?
I did, because
No.
you linked me it.
Yes,
I didn't
linked you
reply
up. You
to
did.
it. No, I
No.
ignored your thing, but I actually did watch it.
Yeah, what do you think?
Nobody linked it to me.
Oh no.
Oh.
Should we
Oh.
stop
Hold on.
recording and you watch it right now?
I don't count as a. You're all right. I'll catch up with it later. Yeah.
No, it's really good
How-
anyway.
Your
go on, Devon.
reaction was good, was it?
I don't really know. Like,
Oh.
I like the idea of Robert Pattinson as the Batman guy.
Hang on, Batters. Thank you.
Rob at
Yeah,
Pattinson.
Yep.
Because I think he might be able to play that role well. I think he's had a hard time with Twilight and having to come out of that. and try and get other jobs, like serious jobs. But
Isn't he also in the new Tenet film?
yes, he is.
And
So
I hopefully, if we get this if we ever finish this episode, recording it, I'm hoping to go and see it this evening with my wife.
It's all backwards.
It's release night tonight. Yeah, it's launch night, premiere night.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, this evening or today rather. Yeah.
Can I come?
Oh, you'd like to come too? Yeah.
If
All
I'm
right.
allowed, I don't know.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, after the show,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's a great looking film, and I'm sure it's Robert Pattinson that is in that, isn't it?
Not Pattinson. Okay. Yes, he is in that as well.
He's happily renamed him to suit his role in Batman. Yeah.
Indeed, that's like Batfleck, Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
When he
Okay.
yeah, it's not just him.
Okay,
Anyway.
very very creative. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it looked good. It looks quite dark. There you go. I thought
Well,
Devon would like that.
Batman is always dark, isn't it?
Well,
Darker.
there was a time when he wasn't dark, wasn't it?
Okay. No.
Yeah,
when
very
he,
much.
He had like a blue jumpsuit and it was powering and splatting everybody.
he certainly wasn't dark in the '60s TV show. It was a great
Yeah.
with the POW,
Yes.
Zap, Wham, yeah, and the bat phone and the officer
Commissioner Gordon.
Commissioner Gordon, yeah, and and Robin in the yellow and red
utility
suit,
belts,
yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, utility belts, yeah. That's my Batman era, yeah.
Well,
When he didn't have any hang-ups. Only his
Yeah.
only hang-up was his cape. Yeah.
very nice. Anyway, I'm gonna move on if you don't mind. Last episode we talked about am I middle class? Devon's segment there,
Yes.
We
and
did.
I did a cheeky little test. I went onto my sister linked me a BBC. They've done a test on the website. Anyway, apparently I'm traditional working class. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah,
But
I
it
saw your
reckons-
response to that.
Yeah, it reckons I'm older. It says they own their own home. You're older and tend to mix with social people similar to yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's a bit harsh that they call me old, but there we go.
Well, some of the views that we do hold, me and you, Ford, are quite traditional, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're not relative to other people of our age. I don't think.
Your generation, yeah.
Yes, but I think that's okay.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes, that's nothing wrong with that. I'm
Yeah, okay.
quite proud of you for being more like me than you.
Okay.
But while we're talking about class and middle class, Devon and I happened to be together on Saturday evening
Yes.
watching telly, weren't we?
Social
And-
distance.
Yeah. Yes.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. and,
Just-
and we happened to see. Would you like to tell the listeners what we watched and how it connected to what this conversation is all about?
Well, we watched an episode on the BBC of Jason Manford.
Mm.
He's a
Comedian,
comedian, and he talked about middle class.
Middle class.
Yeah, and it happened to be just after I did my episode on middle class. It was talking about middle class and how a lot of us in this generation are actually a mix of both.
Yeah.
Oh,
Middle
really?
class and
Okay.
working class, yes. So
That's kind of like what we said, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny, and it's worth a look up. I think we'll put a link in the description, won't we, for that. I mean, it's now a long show, I think, but the
It's very funny.
segment within it, I don't think it's too crude, was it, or anything? He's a funny comedian, and he, the way he approached the whole class structure was very, very well observed. Anyway, yeah.
Yes, there's a few swears here and there, but
But
he
his
does
swears
it very.
aren't
He does it very
obvious.
like under the radar type thing.
under his breath, yeah, which it added okay, and it didn't added to it, and it didn't.
It wasn't harsh.
Didn't detract from what like some of the comedians that you might see
Yes.
on stage.
Yes, it was very
But
funny.
no, it was very funny, and it was very well observed. It was very connected to what we were talking about in the last episode.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't think that segment would draw so much attention.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
I
you go.
did. Because it was a bit controversial. Yeah, you always bring something controversial. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. Unless there's anything else, I guess it's on with the show.
Ford's segment subject.
Well, now I haven't. I've done something a bit strange here. I've not actually made any notes for my segment.
What?
This is the first for me. I'm just winging it here because
Unprepared.
I changed my plans. But I have two different shows lined up, but I decided to change my notes in the last second. Anyway,
Wow.
so if you can probably tell that I'm very much spinning it here.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about good guys turn bad.
Right.
So I've just finished reading a comic book. It's called Secret Empire. Yes, Secret Empire. I do know what it was.
Mhm.
And it's all about Captain America. If Captain America turned bad, if he was like working for Hydra all along, that sort of thing. And
Yes.
I was thinking about this, and what is it with us as a society, as it were? It's a pretty good comic, kind of. A lot of people were disappointed with the ending, which is fair. What is with society and wanting to see good guys turn bad? I was wondering if you had any examples. Like, what do you think about that?
Good guys turn bad. Often it's the other way around, isn't it? You might find a bad guy kind of has a turnaround in their storyline, and become a good guy. The typical traditional type of what's his name in the Christmas story. Scrooge.
Yeah.
Scrooge, yeah, is a bad guy turns good, isn't it?
Hmm.
But about have I got any examples of
Daenerys
guys
Targaryen.
turning bad? Yes, that was a deterioration in her appeal, wasn't it? Yeah,
Hmm. Interestingly,
yeah,
no one liked that though. I think that was more the way they did it though.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, what about
Anakin
Anakin
Skywalker,
Skywalker?
yes.
Yeah, yeah, I knew you were going to say
Yeah.
that. we,
That's fair enough.
oh, we're so predictable. Oh, I am anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's
okay.
probably one of the biggest ones in cinema history is the origin of Darth Vader. Because obviously,
Yeah.
even in the original trilogy, it's all unknown how Darth Vader came to be, and then he's Luke's father and all this kind of thing.
Are we allowed to say that?
A spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Walter White from
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, good
Breaking
example.
Bad. That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously he starts out quite mediocre and good, and he turns bad over.
But
Yeah,
you're always, even when he's gone to his dark side, Walter White is still Walter White dark side. You get it?
Yeah, I get it.
He's still rooting for him, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you
even
shouldn't be, should you?
right to the last episode.
I think we
you
talked a
want-
little about this before, didn't we? Like we should be rooting for Skylar, and she makes more sense
Yeah.
as time goes on.
Yeah,
And then but you still kind of want Walter White to somehow be happy, even though he's like
yeah.
in all this
Because
mess.
He's a real bad
although,
dude.
although he's doing an awful thing, he's created a career out of,
Cooking meth.
the drugs trade. You've kind of empathise with his motives. He fell upon it rather than determined to do it. Wasn't a scheming plan from the beginning, was it? It just happened his way,
It
and
was
he
out of
realised.
desperation, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, desperation because of his own health, wasn't it? I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his own health and more importantly to him, I think, his children's college. Things like
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I knew there was another reason. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Your question is what do we think about them?
Like, why do we like seeing a good guy turn bad sometimes? Because it's not just a secret. It's like this comic I was reading is a sort of what if story, kind of. It's like someone gets hold of a cosmic cube and sort of makes a wish, as it were. It's like a genie in a lamp situation. And he wishes that Captain America was working for Hydra all along. So it turns out all these years they've been saving the world and all this, but he's been working behind the scenes to seed chaos, as it were. Anyway, it's really cool, fun stuff. But another one like that is Injustice, the DC version, where Superman turns bad, and obviously Superman is the
Yeah.
pontific. He's supposed to be the goody two shoes guy, and that's a really good one as well. But obviously he's the good guy turned bad. So him and Captain America are supposed to be above reproach, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it's like, why do we like that? Do you think? Like we see anti-heroes all the time, don't we?
I feel like when a good guy goes bad, it's it's obviously a huge twist in characters. People like twists in characters and character development, but it's also you've got the hope in the back of your mind that they might actually become good again and see the right way. Just like with Darth Vader, that's you were following Luke's path of I still see there's good in him, or and then obviously finally we have that reveal of the full character arc, so it becomes good again and saves his son or whatever. Spoiler alert again. But obviously that's what can actually see a lot of tragedy as well in the films or whatever it is, the comics. You got it's not just a good guy dying. It could be like a good guy turning bad. It can be even more tragic sometimes. So you see obviously with Anakin Skywalker again, it goes through a lot of pain and a lot of anger, and it just pushes him to the wrong way. And you can see like he was just once just a kid, but it would have been better off if he died. But because he became a bad guy, it's a lot more hard hitting, I think.
Do you prefer an anti-hero? Do you think? Because we've talked about this before. Yeah, we've talked about this before, where you like to be able to see from their point of view and see a harder side, I guess, to a hero.
Yeah, because like you sometimes like in these olden styles, bad guys, you've just got I'm a bad guy and that's it. Rather than like why are you actually doing what you're doing, which is what a lot of people liked about Thanos. I think he lost his own planet to do overpopulation, so it's like I'm going to save everybody else from overpopulation and wipe out half the universe. So you can kind of understand where it's coming from, and you see a lot more of the backstory as well. So yeah, I think it is more interesting if you get a glimpse inside.
How do you feel about heroes then? Just like good to the core heroes.
I think there can be a market for that, and it can be actually quite good. I know from my childhood watching the good guys be the bad guys, it'd be like, oh, maybe I one day can be this good guy, this very strong man or strong whatever, who is very moral to the core, and that's like an ideal that I can go for as like a role model that I can look to. So I think that can actually be quite good. But when they're the forefront of every story in that, then it's a bit stale, isn't it? There's a story mode kind of. It's not a story plot. Because if it's like Superman, he got stale very quickly because he's just like this completely moral guy.
Yeah.
He's got no struggles, and he can do anything. So it's like, oh, that's GG then. So they had to throw in kryptonite. That's just boring.
I would like to hold your phone there for a second. Now, Superman has been iconic for longer than anyone's been alive.
Yes.
So
Yeah, but they've had to introduce. If you didn't have kryptonite, it wouldn't be going anywhere near as what it is. And Superman is boring. You go watch any of the Supermans, and they are just boring.
So rude. So rude.
It's true though, isn't it? He's got no struggle, like internal struggle, or with like his biggest struggle is my girlfriend's in trouble, which has got nothing to do with him. It's to do with another person. But he's perfect, so he's going to turn back time somehow and save the world. And it's just a bit bleh, isn't it?
Yeah. When a hero is near perfect, it can be bland. I agree with that. Yeah, you like them to have that. I guess we were discussing just now about Batman having his dark side. It does bring more of a dynamism and an intrigue, doesn't it, to their personality? Yeah.
I'm not just talking superheroes either. I'm thinking even cop shows, where the cops are supposed to be good, right? But then we see these cop shows where they have like corruption or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, there's quite a few examples of that. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, that's
Life on Mars.
Life on Mars. Yeah.
Starsky and Hutch, they're good guys.
They do a lot of bad
things.
They always get sacked a lot.
Hutch becomes a drug addict during.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh yeah. Wow, I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah. And Starsky has to save his life from drugs. Yeah.
That was good, wasn't that? That was a good show.
It was a good show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got them all on DVD. Yeah, that'd be good to watch them again.
Gotta put that on my Amazon wishlist right now.
But we haven't finished watching Cheers yet, have we?
No.
We've also got all of them on DVD. Yeah. Is anybody in that that's good guy turns bad?
It's comedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No. Sam's a bit of a rogue, isn't he? But we love him still.
Yeah, he's more of an anti-hero. He is.
Yeah. He's a bit naughty in his treatment of women. Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah.
unless we've got anything else to say, that's all I got. Really.
No, that's good.
Please comment
Yeah.
below as to how good I
Thought-provoking.
did without any notes.
No, it's good. It's thought-provoking, and
Yeah.
I think I'll be looking out for it more as I'm watching whatever I'm watching at the precise moment.
Devon's segment. Subject.
Excellent. So on to the me. On to the me show.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me.
Yes.
As we said earlier, I did see Paps/Dad/Andy recently when we watched that amazing comedy that we referenced before.
Wow, amazing, strong stuff.
Yes. And it got me thinking because you showed me the remaster of CTR Racing.
Yes.
Which is
We
a
had
crash
a go,
game.
didn't we?
We had a go, which I got you before.
You bought me for Father's Day this year. Yeah.
I did, yes. And
Yeah.
it got me very nostalgic. Nostalgic.
I've heard those words
Yeah.
before. Yes.
Yes. There's also something else that we played as well. Or was it something we saw? I had it in my mind.
I played a video of that Crisis. What's it called?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking. City Crisis.
City Crisis, because it was very much like that emergency game that I've been playing, which I referenced in the last episode. And you said, "Oh, it reminds me of City Crisis from the PS2 days." So we watched a bit of that on YouTube.
A bit of
yeah.
And that was
That's
very enjoyable, I think.
That took you back.
That's one way you fly around with a helicopter and save people, isn't it?
It is. And you
Yes.
have to
Put out
watch them
fires.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
City Crisis.
exactly. And I today have downloaded on my computer an unofficial remaster or remaking on PC, Crash Bash,
Oh.
and it's
Wow.
very bad, but it's enjoyable.
Crash Bash. Now that was like like arena games, wasn't it?
It was,
really?
yeah. It was obviously all about Crash still. But
Crash
yeah, the arena
Bandicoot,
games, you had to
yeah.
go through these different types of games, like the pogo stick
Yeah.
one or the
Yeah. And
polar
there was
bear one, whatever.
where you could slide off the edges of this platform that
Yeah.
was moving, and you had to
Yeah.
fight each other and push each other.
You're on
off
polar
and
bears,
fall.
you got to ram each other off. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's epic. Yeah.
yeah. So I was playing a little bit of that, and even though it is
Oh,
trash
wow.
and all the controls aren't what they say they should be, and I had to kind of just figure it out. It was very enjoyable because obviously it's very nostalgic. And
It's on PC.
I got it on, yeah, because it's being remade onto the PC by just this independent group of game developers, I guess. So I actually really, really enjoyed that, and it got me thinking, I wish I had a PS2 so I could get all these games still and actually play the actual ones. So I was going to ask you guys, what are some games or game platforms that have since gone by that you no longer have very good access to, that you would want to play once again?
Okay.
Oof.
Who's
That's
going
tricky.
first?
Because it's tricky because I have all the old. I've got a PS2 and I've got a Nintendo 64.
Yep.
Yeah. So to be quite frank, I have all the games that the retro that I like, because I'm not really one. I'm not.
You
one
haven't
to
moved
move.
on. Yeah.
No, exactly.
You're still living in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it all work on a decent TV these days? Like, do the controls work perfectly fine and everything? Was it?
I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, it's as good as it ever was, if not better. Yeah. Personally, I think.
Do they look blocky compared to the latest graphics?
I suppose definitely, yeah, but I don't really play any of the latest games, so what do I know about that, to be honest?
Two spring to mind. The first one is that I'm going back to PS2 again, where you're a cop and you're chasing around the streets.
Yeah.
I know what it is, but I can't remember what it's called.
World's Scariest Police
Oh,
Chase.
yes.
That's it.
Yes.
World's Scariest Police Chases. Well done, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great game. Yeah.
And it had that the well-known dialogue, the commentary by the guy. You go gang banger. And, yeah. always sounded a bit rude. didn't
Just
it?
a little
But,
bit, yeah.
I think it means something else in America. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think it means like gangs fighting each other, doesn't it? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So there was that. I'd love to see a new version of that, but then I guess there is new versions of that, isn't there? What was that? One I played a lot with Trinity. My
Oh,
brain's
Driver.
Driver. Yeah, you're a cop in that, aren't you? But you
Yeah.
zoom in and out. It's not the same because you zoom in and out of different people.
Yeah.
You can swap vehicles. It's a bit more of a fantasy thing. Yeah. So Driver's a bit more of an updated version of World's Scariest Police Chasers. Yeah.
Yes.
There was another one. I mean, we've got, and you've played it on my VR headset, the new
Yes.
latest version of Res.
Yes.
Remember Res? Yeah, that was a fabulous game.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
It should be
I'm
longer.
just thinking of all those early
Yeah.
titles on PS2. What else did we play?
Well, hurdy-gurdy, you like to play.
Yeah, I never finished that though. It got really
Yeah,
tough,
it got very
really
tough.
quick, and I never completed it. Yeah,
Obviously there
it
was
a beautiful game.
Jack and Daxter.
Yeah, finished that, and you bought me it recently, didn't you, Ford? Jack and Dexter.
Did I?
Yeah.
What, on PS4? A remake?
Yeah, it's a remake on PS4.
Oh, wow.
I think it had
Cool.
both the first and the second game.
Wow.
You see how much I pay attention.
Yeah. What about SSX? You loved it, SSX, didn't you?
Yeah.
Snowboard, surf, what's it? Whatever it called, Supercross. Yeah.
The second one is SSX Tricky, which was probably our most favourite, I think.
Tricky.
Was that the second one?
Yeah.
That was the third one.
Yeah.
wasn't it?
No, the third one was just called SSX Free.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh, of course.
Another PC game that you enjoyed playing on my laptop in the early days was that Need for Speed.
Oh, the different. Yeah.
Need for Speed Underground.
Yeah. Need
Two.
to be the Underground 2. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very,
because
very
we
good.
were talking about it because of the soundtrack, weren't we?
Yeah.
The other
Riders
day.
on the storm.
Yes.
Exactly. Copyright straight.
Yeah, and it got Snoop Doggy Dogg music in there, hadn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we've ran through a few titles. Did you have a point to make about them?
I was just thinking, like, games just used to be more fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys experienced that kind of
Yeah.
feeling. Like, I was playing a bit of Battlefield 4 today, and I
Yeah.
can only stomach a little bit, and I came off, and then I got Crash Bash, and I just wanted to keep playing. It's like Battlefield 4
That's
or
funny,
Crash
yeah.
Bash remake, like
Yeah,
budget
From
edition.
the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
maybe it's just nostalgia. Maybe because I'm used to that,
I
and
think-
that's what I think gameplay is. But I don't know.
Yes,
It's
you've
just
hit
so
on
much.
something.
Yeah, it's just so fun.
You've hit on something that I was going to reference when we come to do our random chat where we're reviewing the Prince Purple Rain album.
Yes.
I'll say it here and I'll say it later. That I think the emotion takes you back.
Yeah.
When you play that game or when you listen to that piece of music, it transports you to a different time and a different place. When you have all those, I know I've spoke to you before on this podcast about games that I used to play on the ZX81.
Yeah.
You know, Flight Sim and Mazogs and what was it called? Being chased around a maze by a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I've forgotten the name of that one.
Wow.
Anyway, but simple but
Pac-Man.
effective. Well, yeah, it wasn't Pac-Man, but it was a 3D monster maze. That's what it was. Yeah. Did you
Rip
hear that
off
click?
Pac-Man,
Did you
yeah.
hear that click of the finger on the mic? Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, that's when you have a light bulb moment. So those games, rubbish compared to today's.
Yeah.
But nostalgia and nostalgia, let's face it, is all about it transporting you back in time to a different time and a different place. Yeah.
That's how Disney remakes make so much money.
Yeah,
I suppose so.
maybe, but sometimes people prefer the original, don't they?
Yeah, I think that most people prefer the original, but they still really enjoy the soundtrack and everything again. It's really,
Yeah.
really good visuals. Like the
Yeah.
Lion King soundtrack, but in the cinema again. It's a very good experience, I think.
Past games, they still have a place, don't they? You know, and it's great to occasionally go back and experience them.
Yeah, like, as you can see, people are remaking them, remastering all these old games, and so there obviously is
Yeah,
still a market for it. Might not be as big as the new games, but still.
Are they remastering them and improving them, or just trying to keep them as close to the original as possible?
It feels like they're trying to keep them very close to the original. Like the Res, I've only played a few of the genuine remasters from the actual company that made them. But yeah, it seems like they're trying to keep them close to the original because that's where they'll get the sales from.
Yeah, Res and CTR, and CTR Racing feel identical to the original to me.
Yeah, just better graphics,
well,
I think.
Having said that, the graphics have definitely changed because you can play as Doctor, what's his name? Nitro, with the original blocky.
Yeah.
A little bit, didn't we? Because I did on Saturday, didn't I?
Yeah.
I chose my usual character, but with the original representation of him, and there was a very clear difference, But the feel of them is the same, isn't it? I didn't think though that the environments had looked very different. I'm sure if you put them side by side, then you would be able to tell there's a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah.
But like I've said to you before, I'm just not as good at it as I used to be. My reactions have slowed somewhat. Anyway.
Just to end on this, a lot of me just wants to go back and play Extreme G Racing with Ford and a PS2.
Oh,
just to grind it and to try and unlock all the levels. We still haven't unlocked it.
No, it's too hard. It's too hard.
Oh, another one just come to mind. The hoverboard game.
Oh yes.
Superfly in the sky. Flip flop, fly. Yeah.
Something Blade.
Airblade.
Airblade.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Nice.
We rented that game from Blockbuster, I think, for a weekend. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We were desperate. We played it. I think your mum had gone away for the weekend somewhere. And we just played
I remember. Yeah.
Hour after hour after hour, trying to finish it. We never did finish it, and then we bought it later.
Yeah.
To actually,
Older games are much harder as well, aren't they?
Yes.
That's what I go.
Yeah, you can go for ages and not actually finish like Extreme G3 Racing. Like we've tried it so many times, but you can't finish it. Whereas with normal games, with modern games these days, it's like as long as you put the time in, you should finish it. You don't have to get better or anything. You just keep going until the end of the story.
There might also be it's easier to cheat on modern day games because you will find YouTube versions of people playing them. There you can find out if you've missed something and you've got to go back and find hidden items and things like that.
That's true.
Whereas when we were playing them in the 90s, pre-YouTube, I guess, wasn't it? You couldn't do that. You couldn't go off and see how somebody else had completed a game that you're struggling with, Yeah, but with today, if you are desperately stuck, there's always that option.
I feel like games back then were more focused on like the hardcore audience. Not like everyone's really competitive, but it's like people wouldn't like give up and they'd actually be generally good at the game. But these days it's marketed to just everybody to try and get as many sales as possible. So they can be just a bit like walkthrough-ish. So they just tell you what to do sometimes. But obviously, I still enjoy a lot of modern games as well, of course. But sometimes a bit of nostalgia just kicks in. You just wanna go back. Take
me back in time. Yeah.
So you want me to come around this weekend with my PS2, do you?
Yes.
Alrighty.
PS2 weekend. Yeah. Cool.
Oof.
Yeah. Very good.
Cool. And thus ends my segment.
Paps segment. Subject.
Okay, guys. I've received my latest edition of Sorted magazine.
That old segment.
Yeah. if all else fails, let's open up the Sorted magazine. I love this magazine. The segment I wanted to talk about is entitled "Build the New You," and it's about mentoring. So I'm going to read you the article, very short, but I'll stop at there's four kind of key points that the writer called Miles Prota, I think that's how you pronounce his surname. Much of our negative behaviour is influenced by old emotional and psychological wounds. Rather than suppressing this behaviour, it is much better to allow these wounds to heal. I've learned 4 principles which have helped me and others. Principle number 1: get feedback. We should allow others to tell us the truth about ourselves and take responsibility for our negative behaviour. My wife is often frustrated by my controlling behaviour around cooking, driving, and planning, etc. Even worse, I always brush her off. I was jolted into an epiphany recently on holiday when my companions also complained of my controlling behaviour. I had to own it. Um, that's the first point, being receiving feedback from other people. Don't know if anybody wants to say anything about that, or I can
Why?
continue.
Well, yes, I would.
Go on then. Good.
What sort of man gets controlling about cooking?
Well, I guess he might be. I don't know whether he means he likes to be in control in the kitchen, and that, believe it or not, there are men who do the cooking and women who don't like to cook. I know that it's quite controversial, but it's a truth we have to accept, you know.
God, this modern world moves too fast for me.
Going back to what you were saying earlier.
Yeah. Traditional.
Yeah, very traditional outlook on that.
No, I joke, of course. I do cook.
Or just dated. Yes, of course you do.
Yeah, but I don't care too much. That's what I mean.
You don't get too precious about it.
No, not at all.
I can understand the driving one. I do get a bit tetchy, I think, when I'm driving with my wife and she might tell me when to change gear.
Oh, I do that as well. I do
or,
that.
or when to put the wipers on and when to switch them off.
Yeah, yeah.
I say, who's driving this car? You know,
Exactly.
I sometimes say, I don't know how I manage to drive around when I'm on my own without your help. Anyway,
Mine's even worse. Mine's even worse. My wife just flinches whenever I'm driving. I drive a bit too close to the curb, and she's just like flinching in her seat.
Does she put her hands over her eyes?
Yeah.
Watching between closed.
You can see her trying to grab the steering wheel. It's like, stop.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. Well, we've hit on something there. Yeah.
In terms of accepting criticism, I think it's always tricky. It's got to be done in the right way, hasn't it? Because you can always feel under attack. That's why you get defensive, I think.
Yep.
I think so. I do react badly in that situation. Yeah.
So not only has it got to be from someone who you respect, etc., but it also has to be done in a particular way, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is what we're talking about here. And remember, the heading is mentoring. Yeah. So, or the subject is about having somebody in your life who can speak to you and who you will respect enough to listen to. You know, because they might have to say some hard stuff. It might be your wife. It might be somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read the next bit then. We'll come back. I think that's a point worth picking up on later. So the point 2 is talk about it. We can think of ourselves like icebergs. The tip represents our visible behaviour, while the 90% underwater represents unseen forces driving that behaviour, including past emotional and psychological wounds. Discussing their impact and origins with someone you trust opens up the possibility of healing. In conversations with my mentor, I realized my controlling behavior as an adult evolved from my attempts as a teenager to maintain order at home after my mother's death. So for him, for Miles, as the writer of this article, obviously, he's been able to identify what's at the root of sometimes his controlling behaviour, you know, obviously going right the way back to his childhood and losing his mother. So, and maybe it is only when somebody speaks into our lives that we can find that, you know, say the hard things. Yeah. So that's interesting, isn't it? Having somebody to talk to, honestly. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that? What about the iceberg thing? That's interesting, isn't it? The 10% above the water, which people can see, and there's 90% other stuff going on that can
Yeah, it's
unseen forces.
yeah, it's very easy to put yourself in other people's shoes for your own experiences. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
if I was doing that right now in my experiences, then I'd be doing so much better. But
Right.
he's not in your experience. Like, he's not going through all the same things that you're going through. So it's another thing to be able to, I don't know, not even just guess or assume. Just be like, something else could be going on wrong with in their life. Like, my wife's really good at it. So whenever someone reacts badly, the first thing that she thinks is, oh, something's upset them before, or something's gone wrong at home, or something like that, rather than just thinking that person's a nasty person.
Or most people are nasty people. I
Yeah,
think.
and I'm much like that. I'm just like, oh, if you're nasty, goodbye. So,
I think it's a lot harder for men as well because they're not encouraged. In fact, they're probably discouraged to actually share their true feelings.
There
And I
is
feel
something to that, yeah.
I think I don't know, again, statistics. They say that men have a lot higher suicide rate because of that very fact, because they don't feel like they can share with their mates their feelings.
it's the number one cause of death for males under 50, I think.
Yeah, suicide, yeah.
Yeah, so that everything, a lot of who you are being shoved down and held down, it makes sense. It's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a defensive mechanism, I'm sure, to stop yourself from being hurt, but you know, the alternatives are quite severe as well, clearly.
True. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So the third thing he's written in this article, very quickly, this one: choose to change. We must take a stand for the kind of person we want to be. So that's being quite deliberate, isn't it? About making an effort, recognizing, listening to what people say, and then making a determined decision to address the issues that others might identify in you. I don't think there's much you can add to that. Then the fourth thing that he says is create practices. Now, I think these are what I'm about to list are specific, or Pacific. Which is it? Specific or Pacific?
Specific.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the Pacific. That's different.
Not the ocean. Yeah.
No.
Are specifically for him and his situation. So I'll read you these. These are the created practices that he's found works for him, the writer. First of all, he says awareness is curative. He uses the phrase mindful practices. I don't think that's necessarily meaning mindfulness, but it's reflective, I think, practices to keep it alive, such as principle or practice one: accept I'm going to often fail. Yeah. We can't necessarily build ourselves up to be perfect all the time. Principle practice 2: watch myself running the old scripts. So looking for practices and behaviours that he recognises have led him into actions in the past that recurring. Number 3: keep track of my controlling incidences. So I guess that means writing things down. If you behave in his situation, if controlling is a thing he struggles, being controlling is something he struggles with, then he's having to make note of when that happens. Number 4: talk with my wife about how I'm feeling. That's a big one, I think. Yeah, again, whether if it's somebody who's not married, then somebody that they can trust. Number 5: tell lovely stories about my mother. So that's how that for him is very specific, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Because he identified that the root of his main issue was involving his mother, or losing his mother. So he's keeping his mother alive by reflecting on her.
In a good way.
Yeah, in a good way, yeah. Lovely stories about her, yeah. This is a strange one. Make fun of my behaviour by talking in strange accents. I don't know what he means by that, and I wondered why that was there. Anyway,
Well, I think because if you have what do you call it, a self-deprecating humor, sense of humor about
Yeah.
like you're making fun of yourself, people can
Mm.
sometimes think you're just bashing yourself.
Yeah.
And I think if you put a silly accent on it or something like that, I think that makes it obvious that you're having a laugh and it's fine.
Yeah.
Because I find when I make a joke at my own expense, some people just sort of jump to my defense, as it were. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, you're not that bad, whatever, you know. But I guess a silly accent kind of shows to people
Yeah.
that you're not being serious. It's just, yeah.
True.
Although I wouldn't have listed it. There you go. There's something.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, you're quite right. I think that's probably true. Humor does help, doesn't it? Yeah. And then finally, the practice he's created is to pray, because he says, as Jung, and I just had to look Jung up. Carl Jung is a
Yes.
German
Yeah.
psychiatrist. Yeah, I'm sure your Rebecca would know that instantly.
Yes.
Yeah? Because as Jung said, healing is spiritual. I'd like to add that not just Jung says that, the Bible says that as well. So yeah, we know as Christians how much prayer helps, and if we want to heal from behaviours that we not have that are damaging to us, then prayer is going to be central to that. Final thoughts then, unless you want to comment on those practices that Miles Protter has identified.
I'm quite surprised that Carl Jung said that about spirituality. I thought he was very anti-religion.
Was he?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, yeah, he suggested the whole death of God storyline principle
Oh,
thing.
well, I've just
He's a weirdo. Anyway, I'm just saying.
yeah. He's just on his bio on Wikipedia. It says religious studies,
Yeah, he was very critical of it.
psychiatry, anthropology, archaeology, literature, philosophy, and religious studies. Okay. Anyway, whether we believe in Jung or whether we believe in the Bible, they both agree on the fact that healing is spiritual.
Mm.
Final thoughts then: to change anything in life, we have to change ourselves. There's no quick fix. I still struggle with my negative behavior, but you will progress with a mentor joining you on the journey. So I can. That's the article. We've commented on it as we've gone through it. I'm just going to say one more thing from personal experience, and then I'll open it up for anything that you might like to say. Although time is running out, the thing that I've noticed about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, I went to a men's conference and I heard the speaker talk about having a spiritual director, which is a fancy way of a mentor, really.
Yeah.
And I recognised at that point, then 3 years ago nearly, I didn't have anybody who I could be open, honest, and quite frank with, and who I would give permission to speak openly into my life. So I found somebody, an older gentleman than I, but I meet with him weekly mostly. They've really been really valuable times for me. We do a bit of Bible study, but we also talk through stuff that's going on in my life. If I've had some tricky subjects, difficulties, is somebody who I can be open and honest with completely. I mean, obviously, I can have meaningful and deep conversations with my wife, and I do, and that's an open and honest relationship. But I think that there's, I don't know how else to say it really, but I think it's just been a real blessing to me, especially during these last 6 months when life has gone upside down and back to front with the pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
I was able to talk through stuff with him that, yeah, I guess I had talked about with my wife, but it was just another voice.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I want to encourage us all, not just us around the microphone now, but also anybody listening. Seek somebody who you feel you can trust to have those difficult conversations with. Allow them to be able to speak into your life, even stuff that's going to be hard to hear, pointing out perhaps personality traits that others might see but not feel able to talk to you about. And that only happens when you tell somebody, look, if there's anything you see in me that you are concerned about or feel isn't helpful to me, please tell me. And that's really all I want to say, unless there's something else you two would like to add.
I think, yeah, yes, good. I think it all boils down to self-awareness, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
um, it's being able to think, oh, actually, I would benefit from a mentor, or
Hmm.
this does happen, so I should do this next time. Um,
Yeah.
it's like self-awareness and self-reflection are very big things in the academic world anyway. Is everyone's always encouraging self-reflection, and there's also
Yeah.
different models and theories about self-reflection and everything, but when it boils down to it, it kind of just works, just thinking about what happened, why did it happen, and what can I do better next time. It's actually, as you say, intentionally, deliberately thinking about it.
Yeah.
Of course, looking at yourself in a in a very realistic light, you kind of you have to be quite brave, don't you, in order to say, yeah, I fail here, and
Yeah.
that can be really hard.
It
And
is hard, yeah.
I can understand why lots of people don't do it, because
Mm.
it's easier not to.
Mm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
And it
think
also requires a change then.
yeah.
And change isn't always easy, is it?
Mm.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say also that I think I've heard a lot of people from a more secular worldview come out and say, I go to a psychiatrist. I'm not like mentally unstable or
Mm.
anything, but I find it really helpful and I recommend it highly. So
Mm. That's the
yeah,
equivalent, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I was going to say it's about.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know if I have anyone like that in my life. Yeah, it's really interesting that having
Yeah.
someone to talk to openly, really good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice.
And it might be at different points in our lives we need that more than others,
Yeah.
It's certainly been for me anyway. Often, I'll just be honest. It's helped me to be motivated better, to get me through sometimes when I really couldn't be bothered to do very much, or I got things I needed to address. Um,
Yeah.
and having somebody who I could say that to, and then it didn't necessarily come with pearls of wisdom necessarily, but by sharing it and talking it through, it begins to, you know, encourage you. I always come away feeling better from my hour and a half with my spiritual director or mentor, however you want to entitle them. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys.
Nice, thank you.
And now it's time for Random Chatting.
On a lighter note, let's move on to our random chat, shall we?
Yay!
This episode, we took it upon ourselves to listen to Prince and the Revolution. Although I didn't see the and the Revolution bit on the actual Amazon Music bit itself, so I don't know where that comes into it. Purple Rain album. Obviously, we invited you to come and listen to it as well.
I'll start then, if you don't mind, and
Go
I'm
for
not going to give too much away in my beginning thoughts. On listening to this album again, I've listened to it 3 times in the last 4 days. I wanted to listen to it again for the enjoyment of it, and then I've listened to it again, wondering what Ford will think about it. I guess Devon as well.
Right. Now, as you know, on the last few reviews we've done of music, I'm not really a music person.
No.
But one thing I do envy of these performance artist types is their excitement and passion, I think. And that really comes through in these. You know what I mean? In this song? This album, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Positive. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I came away with this feeling pretty good because a lot of the songs had quite a different theme, I think.
Yeah.
It was very weird. It was very, like I say, maybe a bit insane.
Yeah.
I think he might have mental problems.
Right. Okay. That's your opening thoughts. I'll come back to some of that in a minute. What did you think, Devon?
I listened to it a couple times, and it's all right. I thought I would remember a lot more songs than I did.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't find them overall catchy. So
No.
it kind of left me wonder why it caught on so much if I didn't find them catchy. But you can tell it is good music, and I did enjoy listening to it. And it's quite smooth, easy listening. I think.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
I can see that with some of the tracks.
Yeah, I mean, some are a bit weird.
The screaming guitar and his screaming vocals,
Yeah.
do come up quite a lot throughout the album.
Yeah.
On many of the tracks. The title track, Purple Rain, is a beautiful, beautiful piece of music, and I can not fail to enjoy that every time. I've occasionally, even before listening to the whole album again for this review, I would sometimes lie in bed and ask my Echo device to play Purple Rain, just to listen to while I go to sleep. And the instrumental section at the end of the Purple Rain track, it goes on for about, I think the whole track's about 8 minutes. I think half of that's instrumental at the end, the last half. It's just awesome, you know.
Yeah, so Purple Rain is the last track, and it's the only one I've actually heard before. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I kept waiting for it to come up, and it just
Not Let's Go Crazy or When Doves Cry. I think those were the biggest other hit.
No, I've never heard them.
Track. Oh, well, my favourite, to be honest, I've just bigged up Purple Rain, but When Doves Cry is my favourite track on the whole album. And I've been listening to it today while I've been at work, and I've been singing my head off to the whole. And I think I know probably every track quite well and know them well enough to sing along to, you know.
Wow. The music from the Computer Blue song.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Jeff Wayne's musical version of the War of the Worlds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how or why, but it just is like, this feels like something I've heard before. Like, War of the Worlds. Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
they described War of the Worlds as progressive rock and space disco.
Space disco.
Yeah. Space disco. I didn't know it was a I didn't know it was a genre, but there you go.
It's very 80s, that is.
I thought you might say, so I'll say it for you.
Please do.
That it's a bit. It's quite an adult themed album.
Oh yes, explicit. Yeah, yeah.
It does get an explicit warning on the Amazon Music, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But having said that, I think the themes are adult and explicit, but I don't think there's any swearing in it.
No, I didn't hear any. Yeah.
No, there's a few words that people might be offended by.
Yeah.
And definitely the themes are adult. And when you listen to the words carefully, that you can see, and obviously some of the noises that the vocalists, not just Prince, make, but there are some other noises that people make that could be considered
suggestive.
Yeah, there's some beautiful tracks on there as well. You know, it's quite a mix. Go on.
Can I ask, who are the Revolutions?
Well, the Revolution is his band. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I have also watched the film Purple Rain, Prince and the Revolution. He made a film, and it features most of the songs from this album. And you get a kind of, like you've referred to, a peek behind the curtain at some of. I think it's biographical. Some of the struggles that he has had in his past. You said it in your first opening thoughts, Ford. How did you describe him? A bit.
A lot of his singing felt like he was insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was actually insane, was he?
Well, the film leads you to believe he had emotional problems.
Wow.
Based on an abusive father, based on. I don't know if it was ever been decided what his sexuality is. I think he probably was bisexual. I mean, obviously he's not with us anymore, but I don't know. I haven't really read much into his wiki page to see what his personal life was like. But the film anyway gives you a feel that he's mentally not all stable anyway.
Wow. Yeah,
the film was musician. Go on.
Yeah. The film wasn't on Netflix, so I didn't watch it.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the film. I will say, I know we're not reviewing the film. The film has dated far worse than the album.
Oh.
Yeah, the film is
glad I didn't watch it.
Quite creaky. It's some people's favourite film of all time on IMDb, believe it or not. But it gets 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb. The film does, so not a glowing review, but it's definitely very dated. I think some of the acting in that is a bit wooden. There's a lot of sexist and misogynistic characters within it as well. Women are there to be ogled at, I'll just say. Anyway, yeah.
What's the film called?
Purple Rain, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I would have called it the artist formerly known as Prince. That was a thing of his, wasn't it?
Yes, that's what he later called himself. Just Purple Rain. I recommend watching it. It helps you understand the mind behind the songs, and some of the specific, particularly the scenes that are in the club with the stage performances of the songs that we hear on the album are absolutely breathtaking. But the surrounding story does give you an insight into his life, but and some of the conflicts that are going on within the band as well.
It seems like some of the best musicians have, like, they're on hard drugs or they're suffering mentally.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Chester, the Linkin Park guy.
Oh yeah.
Loads of people, and they just they end up either overdosing or killing themselves or something like that. But they make like really good music.
That's right. It often comes from a turmoiled background, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The talent, and that's been the same throughout history. I think you go back to painters and composers. You know, they often had very bizarre.
I do hate it when the song fades at the end. When you fade out a song, it's like a musical pet peeve of mine. It's
Is it?
It's a very old style of thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does it in one or two of these songs. It's just
I
like
think
no good.
you've said that before. If I remember.
Well, I'm saying it again.
Yeah, it means a lot to you. Yeah.
It does. How many purple raindrops out of a purple cloud would you give this album?
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking I might revise my initial.
Oh.
Because I've talked it up quite a bit.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
The sound, the album, not the film. I've originally put 7.5 out of 10.
Yes.
I might push that to an 8. Yeah. Because if on IMDb people can give the film 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Then it makes me feel I'm downplaying or underrating the soundtrack.
Yes.
To that same film.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 8. 8. Yeah.
I'd probably go 7.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very good. You can tell that it's obviously a lot of work has gone into it. Even though it's not exactly my vibe, I may still listen to it again. And obviously, I think it was popular for a reason. That's why I like.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I'd give it 8.5.
Wow.
Purple raindrops out of
expected.
purple.
Oh,
clouds.
that's incredible.
Out of 10.
Oh, now I need to revise my score even more. Oh, thank you for. Do you like it more than me?
No, I think it's the best space rock music I've ever heard.
Space disco.
Oh yeah, sorry, space disco. This is pretty good. Apart from War of the Worlds, of course, because that's great.
Yeah. Oh my word, I'm blown away. Well, then I definitely need to lend you the DVD.
Oh no, I don't care about musicians themselves.
Just care about
But
the
you'll
music.
see. Or otherwise, then okay, don't do that then.
Yeah, okay.
Go on YouTube. Bring up the playlist of the songs and YouTube each of those
The
tracks.
music videos.
Yeah, the music videos for each of them.
Oh dear.
Now,
80s
if you
music
can
videos.
find the staged version better than the videos, I don't know. I haven't done this yet, so they might use clips from the film. You see, the stage acts of the songs is very well worth watching.
Wow. How'd you look at that?
You're right there, you know, and you feel engaged with it in a much more visceral way when you're watching him perform some of these songs. I am so affectionate towards this album because of where it takes me. It transports me back to a time in my life. Now I know you, and this is what's amazed me is that you've enjoyed it without having that not visceral, but that actual emotional link to a time in your life. You know, it's the first time you've heard it.
Yeah.
You've enjoyed it for what it is rather than for where it takes you.
Wow.
Which I'm impressed by.
Thank you. You're talking more about my opinions than you are about the actual thing.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Excellent. We must move on, I think.
It's homework time and farewell.
So on to our homework for next episode. Without any better suggestions, we have got the game Call of Duty Mobile.
Yeah. because it's free to download and you can play it on your phone.
Yeah, easy peasy. We've done PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds before mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that went swimmingly. We recorded
It
ourselves
did
and
go
everything.
rather
It was
well,
quite
yeah.
cool. Yes, so maybe do something similar again, and we can see if we can maybe record something again or something. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have a little chat about
Yeah,
that.
I enjoyed doing that before, and then obviously got something to watch as well as listen to. So if you would like to also play along and give us your thoughts, you can obviously send us lots of messages anywhere you want. So obviously we're on YouTube and obviously most major podcasting platforms. Also on Twitter as well, so you can add us a theory of anything. That's TANG at the end on Twitter, and then our email is theoryofanything@hotmail.com. So if you have any thoughts about that homework or anything else, then you can always send them our way.
What if I have thoughts?
Too bad. No.
Alright. I'll just throw a hissy fit later.
Yeah.
The next episode.
Excellent.
Well done, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
Hope it was helpful and I hope it was interesting to our listeners.
Yes.
Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it just remains, hopefully you don't mind if I do it, do you?
No, go for it.
To wrap by saying,
Yeah.
look forward to hearing you again around the microphone again next time.
Bye.
Hasta la vista.
Bye.
Bye.